All right, now we should be getting stuff. Yeah, nice. Check, check, check. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's hit play on this. That's pretty solid. There we go. All right. So the question here is just what is like our overall volume looking like, but I think we should be fine. Figuring out the gain staging for all of this is going to take a little bit of time, but so I'm not going to get into all that right now. But it looks like in general our levels are solid. So. Okay. Cool. That should be good. Let's give a little more. You know, actually, what we need to do. Hold up. That's wild. Gotta bring this up. Hold on. Alright. There we go. So, this should be good. I'm gonna give myself way more gain. Cool. Unfortunately, that's a little real, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's check out our gate. Cool. Obviously a lot of noise, but it's fine. Okay. Compress a little bit. I think it's probably fine. So much compression. All right, we'll leave it alone. I'll fuck with the gain later. Very noisy, very noisy. I kind of like it though. Cool. Let's put we'll put a limiter on this. We'll do a little bit of limiting. Check, 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 check. There we go. Make sure no one explodes. Cool. All right. That should be good. Now our overall levels are probably a little hot. So I'll tell you what. Let's bring our gain down a little bit. About here. I think that should be cool. Okay, that's a little better. Cool. All right, so working on a new tune here. There's a little bit already going on. Cool. Nice. So other than my horrible bedhead, you know, here we are. Okay. So, all right. The best thing for me to do is to basically forget about the stream. Now, honestly, I'm a little stream shy. Not something I'm used to doing. This is Almost always a very private process for me. But I'm going to try it out. We'll see. We'll try it out. We'll see. Okay. Okay. It's been a while since I was in this project, so... So much louder. You know what? I think there's... Here you go. I overhauled my my sample library recently, so I have to go point to where all these are, which I don't love, but it's fine. It's what it is. Let's try this. See if we find the things. See if we find the things. Hey. Okay, I think we actually found all of the things. Hold up. More. There we go. Need to re-record this synth because it does like some weird phasing on it. It's not supposed to be there. It should just be a little more upfront. All right. There's a bit of arranging that's already been done on this. Just trying to find what needs to be done. Sure. So just like some weird stuff. Weird stuff is good. I like weird stuff. What is this? Okay, just like a real roomy clap. Okay. What is going on? Why is this like exploding? Oh, no. That'll do it. Clipping our master. Okay. I need to bring headphones up, which means... Okay, so good stuff. Meow. Meow. Why are my headphones louder now? Okay, this gate sucks. It's annoying. Bye. Oh. Okay. Checkity check check check. There we go. A little better. Little better. Okay. Okay, so I might get into some synth sound design. That could be cool. Because I think as it is right now, almost like there's not much being used in this track. We have one synth. Probably realistically into the 100 grit. That was gross. We have a synth running into the 100 grit, which is great. But the question here for all you kids out there. So we might go hunting for a new sound source here. I mean, I think that's probably the idea. I mean, yeah. I like the idea of like throwing vocals on this, but it also might just be like a sampled, percussion kind of thing. I don't know what that is there. Dirty drafts, but it's fine. Do you like my spelling of interlude? Hoovers. Hoovers could be cool. We could do Hoovers. We could do Hoovers. I like Hoovers. Okay. Let's try this. Oh my gosh, why does my mouse keep fucking up?
Hi, welcome to Bookie. Today we will unlock
Wait, is this a bot?
the book Writing and Difference by Jacques Derrida. In Jacques Derrida's groundbreaking work, Writing and Difference, the philosopher delves deep into the intricacies of language and the inherent differences that shape our understanding of the world. With his characteristic intellectual rigor and meticulous attention to detail, Derrida challenges traditional modes of thinking and invites readers on an exhilarating...
All right, first of all, yeah, I thought it was Derrida, not Derrida.
Derrida.
Yeah, Derrida.
Derrida.
I think I said Derrida a lot. Derrida. But not Dorito. It's not a Dorito. Jeez.
Intellectual journey.
I kind of like the voice, but also assuming that that's probably different. The audiobook length is 31 minutes. Okay. So probably not that. We would go to r/harem fantasy novels. That sounds great. Wait, we maybe just do this. Soft, emotional. These are hilarious. These are really funny. All right, hold on. I've got I got a sentence underlined in my copy of Writing Indifference. Difference is probably, I don't know. I'm not French. But this thing, I'm working through it. And by that, I mean I went to a cafe like twice and got 8 pages into it. It's really dense. But, and I'm not, I'm not like super used to reading.
Newton's first law of motion. Also,
Is that 100% the voice you just listened to?
Dear team, I hope this email.
Wow, I hate that.
Newton's first law of motion, also known as the law of.
Maybe.
Newton's first law of motion, also known as the law of inertia. It's
Sounds the fucking same.
Dear team, I hope this email.
You know what? I kind of would like it more if it was like shittier. I don't like the AI. I don't like this sort of uncanny valley of AI. Like not for this. I think it would be more fun if it was like more obviously like Microsoft Sam kind of thing. Shitty. I just realized that this isn't going through our headphones, huh? Hold up. Okay, should be now.
Dog water.
See, so this is actually a little better. Dog water is the water that dogs drink.
Dog water is the water that dogs drink.
Okay. Really dumb. Let's try this. Tell you what. You save Ableton. We're going to FL because FL actually has like a little. FL underrated is my first love, but it has a little text to speech thing in it. Gosh, it's been so long since I tried to navigate it. No. Oh, there it is. So let's do this. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace. At the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision on the keystone of an institution, the stone which encapsulates both the possibility and the fragility of it, and the fragility of its existence. We had such a bar. All right, let's see what old Colossus has to say about this.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when it
All right, actually kind of solid. Can I make this louder? Hold on. This is kind of hilarious. Because it's just so ridiculous. Oh, man. All right. Oh, all right, there we go. Oh my gosh, what? Great. Okay. Louder, please. Louder, please.
structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when it
Okay. What about
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent.
okay?
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent. Structure is perceived through the incidence. Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the. Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when
What the fuck?
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when
Structure is perceived through the incidence. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace.
structure is perceived through the incidence of menace.
Structure is perceived through. Structure is perceived through.
structure is perceived through the incident. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision on the keystone of an institution, the stone with. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment.
What the fuck is this?
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment. Structure is perceived through the incidence of.
Why do I kind of like that one?
Structure is perceived through the incidence of Structure is perceived through the
Okay. All right.
Structure is perceived through. Structure is perceived through the incidence.
I don't know.
Structure is perceived through
I
the
kinda like
incidence
this
of
one.
menace at the moment when
It's just so fucking weird.
structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when
Sure. Like,
structure is perceived through
Fuck it.
the incidence of menace at the moment when structure is perceived through the incidence of menace
oh man,
at
it's been
the
so
moment
long since I
when
used FL.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision on the keystone of an institution. The stone which encapsulates both the possibility and the fragility of its existence. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision
What the
on the
fuck is this?
keystone of an institution. The stone which
That's really funny. So where did this go exactly?
structure is perceived
stop.
through the
There yeah. Some things I really love about FL. There are some things that I'm like, why do you do this? Who hurt you?
structure is
gosh.
perceived through the incident.
Stop. Like that. Like every time I click on the damn thing. Okay. So I like that it's dropped all these markers here on the words. That's actually really nice. But
Structure is perceived through
oh, why? Like, why would you do that? All right, there we go.
structure is perceived through the incidence.
Sure. Okay, I'm gonna save that into. Oh, so you did actually just go here. Well then, what the fuck am I doing? I kind of like this more than AI though, because it's just so like it's intentionally shitty, and I think that's a little. I actually think that's a little more charming. It has a little more. It's got a little more of a vibe. I think. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know what Contact is doing here. I'm just gonna make a new track here. Okay. Okay, honestly, now that I've done this a million fucking times, can we just... What the fuck are these loops? Literally nothing in there. It's gonna be called samples. Great. Alright. Speech synthesizer. So quiet. Why are you so quiet? Okay. Okay.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent.
Okay, it needs some weird shit on it. I mean, obviously the pacing of it is, like, I think what we would, like, realistically, I would time stretch it to make it sound more natural. You know, instead of structure is perceived through the, you know, have it at least, like, it'll still sound pitched super weird, but the pacing of the words would be more natural.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace.
That's good. And then we want like a little bit of distortion on it. So I think we want like a bandpass filter and probably some erosion. Let's hit it with erosion first. Let's see how that...
Structure.
Actually, you know what? Let's just hit it with Decapitator. If we're going to filter it anyway, let's just blow it up.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision on the keystone of that.
Like
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision on the keystone. Structure is perceived.
Isn't that fucked up? Okay.
Structure.
Okay. Great. Then we need it to be... Do we... I'm sure there's a telephone thing on here. Yeah.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger
Getting there. Getting there. I think this is actually kind of fun. Let's just try it with a manual bandpass.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates are driven on the keystone of an institution. The stone which encapsulates both the possibility and the fragility of this.
Nice. Okay. Obviously our gain is getting a little out of control here.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates are driven on the keystone of an institution. The stone.
Nice.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates are driven on.
Nice.
Structure is perceived through the incidence
Oh.
of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates are driven.
Gosh, hold on. My mouse keeps fucking up. Yeah, no shit. Alright. Dude, I started drinking some LaCroix, and I had like the worst migraine of my life. To be fair, it was after I drank like 3 cans of LaCroix. But I like still 100% had a migraine, and it sucked.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace.
I think that's the right idea. I kind of like,
Structure is perceived through the incidence.
you know what, actually, I do like,
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates are driven on the.
nice. I think that's cool. And then let's do a little bit of the brigade. Oh wait, this is with the brigade, huh?
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace.
I think the other thing that could be kind of fun is to do like some preverbs. Like try to make it sound like a ghost. Tell you what, let's just do like a reverse delay, actually. I think as far as like reverse delays go, I don't super have one. I think the closest thing I have to a reverse delay, I actually maybe have one. I've not often looked for one specifically. I did pick up the Soundtoy stuff about a year ago. I think it maybe Crystallizer will do what we're looking for here. Yeah. So let's. Okay. I think that's right. So let me. Oh. This is fun. Okay. Let's do this like this. Let's do this all inline. We're going to call this minus 8 VA. We'll call this, come on, plus EVA. See, this is the good stuff. You stick around for a little bit, things get interesting, and you gotta get the ball rolling. All right, so this is dry. Right, and we're gonna do this.
Structure is perceived through.
Okay, so 8 VA, that's looking good. Minus, and you should be the plus, right? So we're gonna do here, and then this is, I don't even fucking know what I'm on right now. So this is minus, so minus 8 VA send. Right, default down. Nope. Okay.
Structure is perceived.
All right. Let's do this. Let's start with some of the low stuff.
Structure.
So, wait. Oh, you're here. Okay.
Structure.
All right. Let's make this brown. Brown. Yay. He's brown. Oh. Sorry.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace.
I wouldn't actually mind a little bit of compression on that. We'll throw this guy in.
Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived through.
Back it off.
Structure is perceived through.
You can be a little faster on the uptake.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision on the keystone of an institution. The
That actually reads pretty nice.
structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision on the keystone of an institution. The
Nice. Cool. Beautiful.
structure is perceived through the incidence of menace.
Okay, so I guess to be fair, we're jumping the gun by automating sends into an effect when I'm gonna time warp everything, but I want to get proof of concept here.
Structure.
And this is what I consider drafting to be, is mostly generating ideas, right? So a lot of it is just getting like proof of concept.
Structure. Structure is
So
structure. Structure.
So I would almost say like, hey, can we come up through like here?
Structure. Structure is structure is
Aren't you supposed to be the
structure.
you're supposed to be the tiny one. You're supposed to be the tiny one. The large one. Why are you the tiny one? You were supposed to be the big boy. You're supposed to be the tiny one.
Structure. Structure is perceived.
Oh gosh.
Structure. Structure.
Uh-huh.
Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived through the structure is perceived through the incidence of man. Structure. Menace at menace at menace at menace at the moment. Menace at the moment. Menace at the moment when. Menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates. Menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates our vision on the keystone of an institution. The menace at institution. The stone which encapsulates both the possibility and institution. The stone which encapsulates
This is
both
fucking funny
the
to me.
possibility and the fragility of its existence. Institution, the stone which encapsulates both the possibility and the fragility of its existence.
Love it. All right, proof of concept. Good. All right.
Structure is perceived. Structure is perceived through the incidence of Structure, incidents of menace,
Hey.
incidents of
Oh.
incidents of menace, incidents of menace at the moment when imminent, incidents of menace at the moment when imminent danger comes.
Can we be slower on these? So these are eighths, so I'm not entirely sure what the difference between slice and delay is, but I'm...
Incidents of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates.
Little bugs. Let's try up a fifth instead of an octave.
Incidents of menace at the moment when imminent
Yeah, it's a little better.
danger concentrates are written on the keystone of an institution. The stone which encapsulates both the possibility and the
Whoa, wait, what the fuck was that? Oh, alt? Oh, hell yeah, dude. That's what we want to do.
Incidents, both the possibility and the fragility of its existence.
Alright, let's hear it back.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates are written on the keystone of an institution. The stone which encapsulates both the possibility and the fragility of its existence.
I like that a lot, actually. It's so fucking funny. Yeah, beautiful. I think the only thing left... I mean, obviously, it's, you know... we need to time stretch it, because if I want this whole sentence, then either this 8-bar phrase needs to be longer, it needs to be like a 12, or a 10. I mean, it is pretty much just like a 1-bar loop, so it could be however long it needs to be. But point is, the biggest thing is the pacing. The pacing needs to be... I think it'll benefit from being intentional. That being said, on the dry channel, let's try a ping pong delay. But like way fast. Like, gimme them 16th notes. Ooh. I kind of like that. Okay. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck is going on? I love it. It needs something melodic in here, though, too. Nice. Okay. Cool. There's another passage from some philosophical text from Marxist theory that I actually want to incorporate, which is based in superstructure. Now, this is something more novel to me, in terms of, like, I would need to do a little more research to basically find... I mean, okay, so let me do this. So, let me ask this. In what text does Marx posit the theory of base and superstructure? That's probably a better way to word that, but... critique of political economy. Jeez, 1959. I didn't realize he was... Dude, Marx was a fucking bamf, dude. That dude was pretty forward-thinking, dude. 1859. Wow. That is insane. Cool. Oh, yeah, nice. Okay. So then this is a text I need to read, honestly. Like, I don't need to necessarily wait to, like, read this whole thing until I find some blip from it that I might want to throw in. Okay, that makes sense. That's kind of what I thought. Das Kapital. I thought that this was kind of his, you know, really, like, if you want to understand Marx, like, this is kind of the text you would want to read. But I think that being said, like, this seems like this would be likely shorter. But here we go. So, blah, 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 blah. So it contains the first connected account of one of Marx's main theories, the materialist conception of history, and its associated base and superstructure model of society, which divides human social development into an economic, technological base, which conditions, not determines, the forms of its political ideological superstructure. Interesting. Yeah, I'd like to understand the nuance behind conditions here. Like, does he mean conditions in the sort of Pavlov, you know, the sense of Pavlov, in which, like, it becomes conditioned to? That would be my guess, but briefly, there's the idea that economic factors, the way people produce the necessities of life, conditions the kind of politics and ideology a society can have. Sure. So this seems to be a quote from it. The totality of these relations of production constitutes the economic structure of society, the real foundation on which arises a legal and political superstructure, into which correspond definite forms of social consciousness. The mode of production of material life conditions the general process of social, political, and intellectual life. Yes, sure. So, you know, I mean, it seems like he's just talking about the base, you know, and how it's you know, what I like about this is that it's kind of being realistic in a sense, you know. I mean, again, like, I got to read it, but my kind of theory going in is one of the things that he's kind of saying in a way. Again, this is just my thoughts before I've read it, that I'm wondering, hey, you know, I wonder if this is kind of the critique, I guess, is this idea that, like, in a certain, I mean, very simply, the ideology that we can have realistically is going to be dependent on the way our society, like the practical way, you know, the logistical way that our society is constructed. That is a kind of, you know, I don't know if he's saying this, but I'm wondering that this is a kind of skew, that certain things will make, that maybe certain things we dream of or make sense to us, you know, the visions that we can have, in some sense are conditioned. I wonder if you could also use the word jeopardized, though that's definitely a negative connotation. Here, it is not the consciousness of men that determines their being, but on the there you go. But on the contrary, their social being that determines their consciousness. Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, you could just fucking take that, honestly. But I don't know. I don't know if I entirely agree with that. But, like, that's definitely, I think there's definitely a lot of truth to that. Well, yeah, because I'm thinking, I mean, you know, can you conceive of something outside of what you know? You know, can you really know an unknown unknown? Is almost kind of what that's saying. And I you know, I don't know. I think theism would claim that, but also realistically, I don't know that people come to theism without being around theism. Although that wouldn't make sense, because then it's like, well, how would you have come to it in the first place? You know, chicken or the egg question, I guess. Food for thought. Food for thought. Anyway, I would like to read some of this. And I would like to throw some of that in here. All right. Way less on the delay, though. the high ones. All right. This is why I like doing like this, though, the audio rack, because, hey, we can take the, we can mix them. You know, likewise, we could take the, and it's it's slick. I don't have to eat up all these like return channels.
Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates are driven on the keystone of an institution. The stone which encapsulates both the possibility and the fragility of its existence. Structure is perceived through the incidence of menace at the moment when imminent danger concentrates are driven on the keystone of an institution. The stone which encapsulates both the possibility and the fragility of its
Ah, it's so funny. It's so funny. Okay. So, oh, that was gross. A couple things I'm thinking here. One, hey, proof of concept. That's great. It's goofy. It's kind of cheeky. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. I would say proof of concept is, hey, check. Next question, though, is frankly, hey, do we take any of this and we clip it and, we put it, here and here and things like that. You could do that. So goofy. It's so funny. No, but I think it's really good. I like it. It's got a thing I want to say. Great. Something that I want to do, basically. Honestly, we should take this into Melodyne. Because A, it's going to be a way that I can just time stretch everything. But B, instead of structure is perceived through, like, we could make the pitch sound more natural too. But I like the roboticism of it. I think that's pretty fun. Do a little Ray Romano. Great. Okay. I think the next thing is I'm thinking some hits, and I will actually full fucking disclosure here. Well, there's a song I've got in mind. You know what? I'll save that for me. I like sharing that stuff as I go. I like sharing. Hey, I like sharing. I like sharing. We should share. Okay. Let's do this. I think what I'm gonna do. What time is it? Because I gotta go at 3, and actually a little bit of change. I'm getting a little hungry. Tell you what. I think what I'm gonna do is. Well, I might have to reroute a couple things in my interface, which is a pain in the ass. Okay. So there's a couple ways that we could go. So let me kind of explain my a little bit of my thought process here, which is basically this, which is that everything I'm doing for this batch of songs, which is about 12, and potentially going forward in my career until I feel otherwise, is written to be directly performed on my rig, which you can see behind me here. And basically what it is it is an MS-20 Mini, 2 Hydrasynths, and some Eurorack modules. Those are the sound sources. Also, I've got, obviously, Ableton in front of me. During the live performance, this laptop will host Ableton, but it won't be hosting... The most audio it will generate is through like triggered samples. I have some MIDI controllers behind me, notably the Xylosynth. It's a Xylo mallet MIDI controller. That is going to send MIDI to the Hydrasynths, any of the synthesizers, but also potentially to a sampler. You know, so a good example is that I ended up sampling an acoustic guitar in the same way that you might encounter like a Kontakt sample library, you know, where there's multiple, you know, it's kind of every single note. For this one, I did like every third, right? Every 300 cents or whatever. Point being, you kind of get a profile of the instrument. You run that into a sampler. Those S's. And then on the Mallet, or you used to play Mallet, on the Xylosynth, it ends up being, it plays out like a hammered dulcimer. Sounds really nice. So anyway, what I try to keep in mind when I'm writing these songs is what instrument is making this sound. So what I have in mind is I could grab my electric guitar, which I can play incredibly poorly, but I could probably eke out some power chords with a pick, and basically just get some really distorted kind of one-shot power chords. You know, maybe run it through some of my Eurorack modules, one of which is a really, really gutsy distortion. And then sample that, make that a sampler, and hey, that's one of my sound sources for this tune. I try to only stick to one sampler. The more in the box we get, generally speaking, the more unwieldy, the less playable the song becomes, because things become tied together, things become they're a little less fluid. Which means it's harder to improvise on them. It's harder to express. The other thing that is a more realistic concern is just kind of CPU load and latency and all that stuff. So anyway, that's one option. I usually try to reserve that as sort of the last option. So what I'm thinking now is like, you know, well, I could run the MS-20 into my Eurorack module, and that's going to be monophonic. Well, actually, no. You know what? I could use I could set it has 2 oscillators, so I could set one of the oscillators on fifths, and then we've got a power chord. Why don't we do that? Because to my knowledge, there's none of the Eurorack stuff being used so far in this song. And that's usually where I can get away with a lot of like heavy processing power, is actually through analog gear, which is really, really cool. It was a very exciting day when I realized the place for Eurorack stuff in my setup. Because I was like, oh shit, all this crazy processing I can now do live. So why don't we try that? So I think we're going to get into a little bit of sound design. If you're not familiar with sound design or the way that I do sound design, it's a bit lengthy, to the point where it may be a good hour or two on like one sound. I just kind of follow it until I reach a stopping point, but I do feel like generally I need 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. So I think I'm going to get into that. I'm going to leave the stream up. I'm going to move the camera and stuff. The angle and stuff might not be ideal. We'll try it. But anyway, that's a little bit of me thinking here. Give me like a minute or two. I'm gonna make a smoothie because I'm running on not very much food right now. I'm running on like a banana. I also need to take a shower before I shoot off and go teach later. But give me a sec. No, what? Give me a. Hello. You're gonna get scooped. You're gonna get scooped. This is my cat. This is my cat. He gets scooped. You getting scooped. Oh. I know this isn't. Well, hold on. There you go. That's a little more comfortable for you, isn't it? You're a sweetie. You're a sweetie. You're a sweet boy. He's a sweet boy. I love him. Frankly, I love him. How you doing? How you doing, Stinky Man? How you doing, Stinky Man? How's your morning doing, huh? Is it going pretty good? Is it going pretty good? Yeah. Here. Why don't I put your window perch up, huh? Hey, Stinkins. Hey, Stinkins. Come on. Come on. Come on. Whoa. There you go. Just show you know it's up. Just show you know it's up. That's right. That's right. What a sweetie. He's a sweetie. Okay, bye. You're a sweetie. You're a sweetheart. Great. All right. So, I think as far as like camera angles and shit go, well, honestly, I need for this kind of thing, I need a second. I need a second camera so that I can have one from this phone, but then I just need two camera sources is honestly what it is. I'm not sure the easiest way to like do that. My posture is so bad. Oh, it's fine. Whatever. I do need to sit up though. Actually, what am I doing? Yeah, my posture is pretty bad. Butts. Okay. Well, hold on. I need to. I can bring you all over here. Let me do this. Hold on. I need to reroute some like power stuff. Oh. Cat's playing with cables again. What are you doing? What are you doing there, you sneaky bull? He's crazy. He's a crazy guy. All right. Let me bring y'all over here. I think I'm gonna do this in a sec. All right. And I guess you're doing rear facing, so I think we'll probably have you go with this. And then I gotta move a camera. That's fine. Actually, hold up. Hold on. We are doing like this, so we need to be like that. All right. I can swap it, right? Yes. There we go. Cool. That's cool. It's a little something. Little something. We can add a little bit more. Yeah. Nice. Okay. All right. You know what? Wait. Hold on. Okay. Cool. Got to keep my phone charged. Okay. This is hilarious. All right. Apologies on the Rumble. Someday I will have a setup that is more, I don't know, just easier to like pivot to and stuff. But hey, this ain't bad. Okay. Oop. Rip. Nope. 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 What am I doing? Great. Hey, that's actually pretty solid. All right, cool. Cool. Oh my gosh. My cat is so cute. Vigo, you're so cute. You're so cute. All right. Nice. Why the hell are you in? Why the hell is it like this? Hold on. Because you should be like that. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right, and that's going to be most of it. No. All right. Cool. Good stuff. Okay. Yeah, I think I would like to do more streaming stuff, but like obviously it'd be nice to get some more just like video equipment so that a lot of these cameras and stuff can be, I don't have to position them too much, but that wasn't too bad. Okay, so I think we're pretty good here. I think basically what I need to do is a couple things. So one is that I need to switch my keyboard here. Yeah, see, I wish I had an overhead camera on my rig. I have a GoPro. I need to figure out how to get multiple like peripheral camera inputs. Like I have my phone. How can I also connect my GoPro? I'll flex with that another time. But so you should be keys. I want you on the MS-20. Okay, so let's see what we got. That should be working, but very clearly it's not, so that's not good. Just gonna mute you. Why are you not working? Okay, hold up. The next thing I need to do is make sure this stuff works. And damn it. This project was made using an older version of my template, which means some of the controls are not mapped because they've since been changed to different channels. Okay. Whole can of worms there, but great. That's good. MS-20 is going in the MS-20 slot, so let's unmute him. Nice. It's a little hot. Nice. Okay. Let's do this now. Yeah, I think where we're at now. Ooh. Okay. I need to do this. I need to make a new project. Yeah. I need to make a new project for... I need to make a new project. So go to snapshot. I thought we already had one. Yeah, go ahead and load up this. Okay, so this is the standard. Okay. Well, I have to redo some of the stuff I just did. That's fine. We'll take. Still go to main out. Don't stereo link. Mute you, and give us a little more. Yup. And there we go. Okay. Great. I'm back. MS-20. Great. You're good. We're going to test that. Nice. Is that coming through? Y'all can hear that? I'm going to undo the filters. So, reset the filters here. Hopefully that's not too loud. That's a little loud. It's a little hot. Let's just bring our MS-20 fader down. This is the other thing. I wish y'all could see the XR12 I'm using. Still a little hot. Continue to bring it down. Cool, that's better. Okay. Nice. So let's start by... let's start with this. So I'm going to start by playing back the loop. We're just going to let it loop a ton and come up with an MS-20 patch. This part should not take that long. Mute that for now, otherwise it's just going to be distracting. Cool. Alright. What key are we in? D. I thought it was on E flat, but maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see. It's actually kind of hard to tell. I think we're in E flat though. What the fuck? Weird. That's like surprising. Let me move the camera. Great. Alright, there we go. We got a little something more. You get the idea. But weird thing is that this has to be tuned, so... So we're kind of more in D, but it's a little weird because kind of what's happening here is that our main synth A is actually tuned up a bit. I should just get a frickin' headset. Okay. bring my second last. All right, we're gonna turn our main loop down a little bit. Go. Probably a saw. Actually, pulse is kind of hot. Yeah, I like the pulse a little more. Sounds like Six Flags. Oh, God. We already have that 10th in the main synth, so I think we're not doing a 10th. I'm gonna try a 5th. Yeah, good enough. Good enough. Cool. I actually think that's pretty solid. I mean, anything with the filters that we want to do. Actually, that high pass is pretty nice. Also, the self-oscillating. Okay, maybe. Oh! Now here's the limitation here, right? Let me mute this for a sec. So the limitation is that, hey, how do I want to dynamically control the MS-20 in the middle of a performance? Because obviously one of the things that I could do is manually just control these filters. We also have these mod wheels. Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. Well, hold on. This mod is actually not in the shot. Let me move Ableton somewhere. Give me a sec. Okay. So the limitation here is like, you know, I could go up here and I could tweak. I guess you can't super see the high pass. Yeah, there you go. Now you got it. Nice. So we've got the high pass filter here, which actually sounds pretty hard. I like that a lot. And actually the low pass is really cool too. It gives this kind of unwieldy, like, electronic tuning thing. And I do like having both the high pass and low pass here. Now, the question is, how do we perform this? Actually, that's not the question. The question is, how do we set this up so that we can perform it? So these knobs are very difficult to interface with. We can use the patch bay here, but we're basically not going to get more than one with like our mod wheel, and we obviously have to use our hands. We have and I've got a couple pedals here too. And that part's, I know that stuff is kind of out of the shot, but I think, okay. So first thing I want to do is I want to now move. I want to take the MS-20 and I want to run it into. Oh, wow, I really do need a headset because I do be moving around. We want to take the MS-20. I know it's kind of hard to see. Can I zoom on this? No, I can't. But you can see MS-20 track. So we're going to take this, and we're going to take our Euro send, and we're going to send that. I'm just going to send it at Unity, so type in a little 0 there. Snaps up. Great. What that's doing is that now this is coming over. So now, assuming that our send isn't muted, because sometimes they are, and I keep telling our default settings to not mute them, but okay. Now we need to pull the MS-20 out of here, and we need to go over to the Euro rack. That means Come on. Come on. Oh my gosh. Not playing nice. You are not playing nice. Nice. Okay. Same thing. Make sure Ableton is not covering things up. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, other than wish I had a headset for all of this moving around I'm doing. No, it's okay. It should be cool. Okay. So now what you can maybe see is, just got to take this off the stand. So over here, oh gosh, I don't have the wires. So, because we sent it here, this MS-20 signal is now going here. And I've muted it on our mixer, so when I play it, I'm playing it right now, we're not hearing it. If I bring it up on the mixer, which I'll do here, blah, 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 hey, we hear it. Right? By the way, the OBS stream is, sorry, the mixer is actually going into the Focusrite interface, just the stereo out. So, whatever I hear, you hear. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take this, and you can see I've got these things written up here. Probably hard to tell, but we're just saying, hey, input 1, which is our send from the mixer, into the 100 grit. Now, if I play, you're going to see the 100 grit light up. That means that it's outputting. There's a cable kind of in the way. Right? So as I play, I'm playing now. Here's my hand. Here's my keyboard above me. There you go. Here's a note. This keyboard is now going into the MS-20. So, great. So let's get into it. So that's a little bit, sorry, what's happening here. We want to take the 100 grid out, and we want to run it back into, we want to run it into our return A. Let me send that. You're not stereo linked, are you? Good. Very hot signal. Okay. Okay, and we are using the distortion out. That's great. We're going to reset this a little bit. Pots at noon usually gives us a good place to start. Let me swing this around. There we go. So much of that I know. Sorry. Cool. Our incoming signal is crazy hot. Start with our filters on the MS-20, zeroed out. This is why I fucking love this thing, man. Immediately, it sounds really great. This is this is basically as transparent as it could be. This would be a little more faithful. Right? But if we compare this sound to the MS-20, so this is the 100 grit with kind of minimal distortion happening. Now, we could actually get a little less by taking the output. You can hear there's a lot less gain. There's basically not too much distortion happening. There might not be any. I'm sure there's a little bit, but let's hear. So this is the dry MS-20. It actually sounds really good. Okay, nice. Yeah, okay, so it's pretty, not too much happening here. But the distortion output we hear, there is a little more grit to it. Also a little more gain. Let's A-B it one more time. A little more low end, a little more body, but we can start to drive it. We can really hear it starting to kind of break up in a pretty nice way, I think. We could also run a filter after this if it's proving a little too much on the high end. But notably, this is a filter too. We have, sorry, let me bring this a little more into the shot. Oh, this is, my hand is in the way. I gotta play the notes though, dude. I gotta play the notes. But here's our low pass. Sounds super nice, right? We can get a ton if we bring in our resonance. It's gonna be a little. Sounds so good. If you bring up this pot, you basically end up getting distortion on the resonance frequency. Just a way to make it a little more gnarly. Get some frequency modulation feedback here. This guy. Distortion feedback. So we can get it. It's so sludgy. And of course we can send CV. And this is the main way we're going to interface with this. And that guy does a lot. Distortion feedback. A lot of fun. Now, I was originally thinking of reserving this module. I was originally thinking of reserving that for, let me get my smoothie. The main synth. The synth that we already have tracked, the one that if I unmute, you're going to hear this guy. Because it's a little more melodic. But a lot of the distortion there, first of all, I mean, we can run multiple things into the 100 grit because we have this Erica Matrix mixer. So we can use that as mults going into it. But I'm pretty content with that's a Hydrosynth patch. What we're hearing in this is a Hydrosynth patch with no other outboard gear with it. So because all of that is happening in the Hydrosynth by itself has so much access to, like, I mean, it has 2 filters on it, right? And it's got 5 LFOs, 5 envelopes, macros, and we can control all of those through MIDI. So I do think we'll maybe miss a little bit of the edge that we could have by running it through 100 grit. But I think it ends up being a really nice foundation. We could still run it through the telepathy filters or the SVF filter if we want to hear that sound go through some analog to warm it up a little bit, or just to use any of those modules. We still have the Panharmonium we're not using. Likewise, we have some of the effects on the XR12, which they are digital effects. I don't think they really hold up to like the Eurorack stuff, but like there is an amps, there's a couple amp sims on there, and that I think plus a graphic EQ will get us to a pretty happy result. So I think for now, let's hang out with the MS-20. What I may do here is loop record something so that I can sound design with both hands. So I'm going to unmute and we're going to get into it. Pull the resonance down. Sorry, the release time of the MS-20. Sticks out of the way. A lot of resonance. Here, let me back this up a little bit so you can see my hand. See my hand a little bit. Fun stuff. Here. Alright, we need to pull the track up. Alright, let me pull the track up. There we go. So one of the things I might want to try. All right, a little more edge. Like it needs to hurt. Not that way though. set up a gate. Alright. You get the idea, right? Now, since there's like two bases, let's set the high pass on the MS-20. See what that gives us. I'm gonna latch this. And there's the high pass. A lot of resonance. Why was it doing that? Now, there are ways to address that. Oh shit, I forgot about this though. Obviously the mix is kind of off, but that's okay. We're getting there. This switch here is insane. High pass. We're getting a different kind of effect when we were using the low pass in the MS-20. I want to go back to that, see what that sounds like. In order to do that, I'm going to patch into. You're gonna hear the dry MS-20 sounds. Give me a sec. All right, so. Gain staging obviously quite different. It's pretty nice. Let's try some stuff. Okay, but it's not, it's like typical low pass stuff. So, all right, back to... So this is the sound going into the 100 grit. And now back to the 100 grit. You hear how much body it adds to that very high pass sound? If you take the high pass out, we're gonna get a lot of low end coming back in. Actually, sounds really nice. But we might find that that steps on the original synth, and it might be nice to kind of gut the lows a bit. We can give more distortion, of course, but our filter is actually pretty low. The cutoff is right here. I like, it's tough because I like a little bit of that, but it does, you know, the self-oscillation of the resonance is a little tough. I think what we would have to do to address that is to just run it through a VCA and trigger an envelope, which we can do. That's no problem. That actually is no problem. But that may be what we end up doing. I don't want to set that up right now, so we're just going to deal with it. That's the low pass on the MS-20. Here it's all murky. Alright, give me 1 sec. So we're going to take the 100 grit, we're going to run it into this cutoff filter here. There you go. You can see it up here, right? You can also see that the input signal is very hot. You can see from that red light. So we're gonna attenuate it a little bit. Jeez. Oh wait, hold on. Wrong place. Yeah, there we go. It's a little more comfy, right? Yeah, nice. Okay. So we've got our low pass. And I need to address these wires at some point in my life. So if we want a clean low pass, now we have it post 100 grit. Because the 100 grit is nice, but it adds a lot of like grittiness when it. It's lost a little bit of its edge. So let's hear that. It might just be from volume though. Oh, sorry, our gate. Passing the MS-20 again. So the things that I'm finding I like to interact with here, this is now the other part, is like we want to take stock of, you know, what are the knobs that I feel like I'm going to the most in an expressive sense, not in a like tuning sense, but in the sense that creates moments. And I'm feeling like I mean, the 3 is that it's this filter knob, this cutoff knob, which is a post low pass, and then the high pass on the MS-20. Now, let's set up the high pass on the MS-20 real quick. To do that, probably the easiest way is... stay with me, power cable for my phone. I don't want my phone dying. Probably the easiest way to do that, come here, microphone, is to run the patches here. So we're going to take this guy, and we're going to run this as a control input, maybe. No, I think honestly all we need to do run that into the cutoff, right? So now our mod wheel, you can see that guy there. Our mod is going into the high pass filter. So that's cool. Let's go back to just our MS-20. So right, we're gonna mute our Eurorack. I gotta talk quieter because I'm way closer to the mic now. Okay. Nice. Cool. Good stuff. And then, so this, how does this work again? I think it's this guy. Nope. So that's our mount, basically, is this knob. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna. I need 2 hands, and I'm gonna do this just very quickly. So apologies. I need infinite cameras. This is hilarious. Nice. So now I've got, this is all with a mod wheel on the MS-20 now. So we've got a peripheral mapped to it. Now we could use a different peripheral. We could send a CV into the MS-20 and run that to like a foot pedal or something, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, I just kind of want that saying, hey, you know, I have an option here. I have a way to adjust that's independent of the knob itself. That kind of then proves as a sort of mental note for me that, hey, I wanna control this. The other thing that'll do is I might write it down in a little notebook. All right, let's come back to our loop. Let's keep jamming. A lot of jamming. It's okay. We need to do a lot of jamming. Oh, whoops. Mute our dry signal. All right, why is it so messy? It's the resonance. Okay, so we maybe also want resonance CV. Because I like this sound. You know, I like the tone we get when the resonance is down. But 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 it's also kind of murky. It's a little screamy when this is all the way max. It's fun. I like a little bit of... I like the out of controlness of it. That's a little much. But like kind of there is fun. Okay. Let's do this. Because I'm kind of liking this, but now that now it's getting to be a bit much. So what we need to do now is we need to set up a CV source. Now to do that, as you can see, I'm raising this. Beautiful. What we need to do is go into our Hydrosynth. And the Hydrosynth here, they're going to let us do some stuff. Don't look at the dishes in my sink. I don't, clearly. No, it's not that bad. Just from this morning, I promise. Okay, so the patch I'm using is called Frux 6. It's one of my own. This is the patch for, I don't remember where it is, which bank it's in. Little screen burn, unfortunately. I think it's probably in here. I think it's in the H bank. Doesn't look like it's in the H bank, actually. It's in one of my custom banks. G, it shouldn't be in the G bank. It should be in the F bank, actually. Give me a sec. Here we go. Okay. And I love that. You hear that like warbling? That is from the resonance. That is from this guy. That is from... like, that's from the MS-20. It's from the... sorry, it's the resonance of the 100 grit that's making it kind of pulse like that, which I think is super cool. Super interesting, right? Has a ton of personality. That's why I love these Eurorack modules, man. They have a lot of personality. And I think sometimes that's what you lack with the digital stuff. As much as I love Serum and the Hydrosynths, they do exactly what you tell them to do. And it's a blessing and a curse. Okay. They do be computers. 100 grit just loves to go off the rails, and I love that about it. Okay. So what we want to do, I think this is the patch. If it's not, we'll figure back in. You know what, we need to audition this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn, because I'm using an old version of my template here, which is basically some Max for Live software versions I've written. I don't have a quick way to change what MIDI device this keyboard controls, so instead I'm just going to turn the local back on. Okay. What we need to do now, give me 1 sec. There's a discrepancy here in our levels that I'm seeing. Should not be the case. Okay. It's you, huh? Okay. There we go. Now they're leveled up. So this is the patch. Wish you. So that's it straight up. Now we're also hearing a little bit of MS-20 in there still. These macros basically change different amounts of, I don't even know, mutant 3, which is FM amounts, something like that. But we have 2 versions. Okay. So that's cool. It's more like a wobbler. I think we just want this one. Something like that. So, this is where things get a little tricky. So what I want to do is whatever source controls the, and we'll go ahead and, you know, we're going to save this as something new. Let's find a new spot in our bank. Ooh. Okay, I just had an idea. Okay. There's another sound I remember that I was going to have loaded into this project that is not currently loaded. Oh, dude, this is coming together. Nice. Okay, so, but we're in the sound design part. I'm also fucking with cameras through this, which is not easier. Okay, we're gonna call this Frux 6, and then let's find we'll call it, the placeholder name for this song right now is Pier or Pyre. We might stick with that. I don't hate the name. Category is bass lead. It's a good category for it. Let's make it a nice red. Yeah. Okay. Okay, because I need to enter that, so that's F62 is the patch name. Give me a sec, let me enter that into my system. Just if something happens, now I know, hey, this is one of the sounds I've got for this song. Okay, so this is kind of tricky, and I'm not entirely sure how to do this. This is something I haven't done yet. So I'm going to grab a stool, and we're going to play Mr. Analysis. So what I need to do here is I need to here's the thing. So basically what I want to do is whatever peripheral I'm using to trigger the MS-20, I'm thinking it's probably this Hydrasynth keyboard we've got in front of us. I may split it, and I may have one of the splits go to the MS-20. I may have the other split go to, doesn't really matter. Point is, the question is, I see. Actually, so here's the thing. We have an MS-20 that's generating the sound. We might go directly to the MS-20. I see. We might go directly to the MS-20. I could potentially use the envelopes and trigger the envelopes on the Hydra. Issue is with that, that the Hydra envelopes will only trigger when there's a note, when it's basically already triggered, when there's a note already playing through it. You can't trigger the envelopes independent of the Hydra synth. You can only trigger them when the Hydra is already going, basically. Now, that's not the case for the LFOs. However, I don't think you can really trigger the LFOs. The LFOs just kind of free run. The workaround would be basically that you send a sort of latch signal as a CC, as a momentary CC latch But I think what we want to do is this. I think what we want to do is we want to look at our MS-20, and we want to say, can I take one of these envelopes, can I take one of these envelopes and use it to go and basically run it into the VCA? The reason I want to do this is to get rid of the squealy 100 grit gate, so that the VCA basically only opens when the MS-20 is triggering. Now I should be able to do that. MS-20 has 2 envelopes. Probably we just take envelope generator. I think we just take envelope generator 1. However, it'd be nice if we could do it with 2. So, I mean, if I bring this up, we're going to start hearing that. And I really like that sound. So what we're hearing is actually the envelope generator 2. So can we take that output? It's generally going into, we can take the reverse output of it. But I don't think I really want to do that, because that's going to go from 0 to negative, and I don't really want that. Well, that might be fine. That might not be an issue. Let's try taking the envelope generator 1. And I can see that that's going from 0 volts to 5 volts. Let's take that. Okay. We're going to run, that's 0 to 5. That's probably fine, honestly. We're going to run that into interesting. I wonder if I want to use this as an input, because this is now going to some different places. I maybe do want to do that. It's not a gate signal that we need, and it's also not a volts per octave to hertz per volts. Okay. Okay. So what we want to do now is we want to take before or after the SVF. Let's try after. I don't think it super matters. So we'll take the SVF. We're going to run that into VCA. That's going to be on K. All right. And then we're going to take the VCA out of the VCA. And we're going to run that into 100 grit. Or sorry, into our return. Nice. Ooh. Good sign. Nice. Okay, I think that actually did exactly what we wanted it to. We can give the attack time. Nice. Release time. Beautiful. Actually, a little bit of release. Okay, so then I think this is what we want. Now, we can give... Right, we have that resonator. Beautiful. Awesome, dude. Hell yeah. Okay, that's the first time I've done that. Beautiful. Okay. So we've now used a VCA to get rid of. Nice. And that's not even linked to this. I didn't have to go in here and use a CC source. That's just using one of our envelopes on the MS-20. Beautiful. Now, something to bear in mind is that I had to do a manual patch here And I may want to set this up in a way where I don't have to do that, using our Erica Matrix Mixer as my kind of CV router. Now I get all that like uncontrolled stuff, but we don't have all that crap happening if like this stuff, right? Where it just goes no matter what, because it's going right now, right? Like, let me, sorry, you're looking at the Eurorack stuff. If you're tuning in now, you're like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this, man? All right, there we go. Beautiful. And it's all like garbled. Why is it so garbly? Because the cutoff is really low. But now instead of it going all the time, it only goes when it's on. So let's bring our release down. It was at 2, here's at 1. I like a little squeak at the end. Got a spring. And we could take it out completely. So what I'm doing is it's this knob right here. So you can see the VCA light up here when I play a key, right? So this keyboard is controlling the MS-20 that's behind me. That MS-20 is then sending an envelope on this cable into here, controlling the CV of the VCA, which is chained in after our low-pass filter and after our 100 grit. So basically what this gives us in total, here's the whole chain, is that we have the 100 grit doing its thing. We have a post low pass, which is nice because the 100 grit adds distortion with the filter. Even when we bring the filter down, because of the way I've got it set up, it doesn't have to be like this. But you basically still hear a lot of high frequencies cutting through, which I like. I think that's super cool. But if I want like a true low pass without changing the configuration of my 100 grit, I've just got it there, right? So that's nice. Now, the thing that happens, to recap, so that's a kind of a nice tone there. It's pretty scooped. When I bring this knob up, this is the CV controller for the resonance. It's an attenuator, so if I plug a CV source into this resonance pot, or jack, then this acts as an attenuator. But without it, it basically ends up being, I don't know, like a second phase of distortion that ends up kind of feeding back. And it's cool because it makes it so gnarly. Here it is at 0. Just a little bit. And you hear that what ends up happening is it kind of loses control. And I think that's really fun if we get just a little bit of that. However, one of the things that ends up doing is it makes it just always generate a tone when you hear it now. To circumvent that, what we've done is after this MS-20 to 100 grit to low pass filter chain, we've run all of that into a VCA. The VCA only opens, the CV source for the VCA is an envelope that's triggered by the MS-20. So basically, long story short, we don't hear any volume unless the MS-20 is receiving a note. So there it is with a little bit of release on that envelope, which means when I release the note, you have this fade out. We make it really, sorry, hold up. If we make it really long, it's like this. Lasts for a long time. Right, and it's a tone generated by the filter. We make that release instant. We don't even really notice that it's there. So that's fun. Here's the next thing. We have an Orion. We have a phaser. And we should absolutely do this because here's where shit gets bonkers. So we're going to go from the VCA-R into the Orion, the phaser. It's F. Okay? Eating up more real estate, but that's fine. And the Orion, then we're going to run here into the Matrix 1 and 2. So what I need to do is stereo link my returns on my mixer from the Euro rack. Beautiful. And now we get to wonder why it's not doing what I want it to do. Because we have it patched. All right. So now we've got some stereo junk. You can see it, yeah? Yeah, so this is this guy. This is the input. Generally, I like the frequency around noon. Everything around noon on this usually sounds pretty good. Again, I'm still playing these notes, right? Sorry. But I'm going to play them up here. It's just more convenient for me. I'm going to bring the resonance down. Actually, the depth down. I don't necessarily want to notice. It's a little weird, right? It's very wide. We, of course, don't have to have it be stereo. Mono now. Biasing a little bit to the right. We should send a little less volume out of the VCA. There we go. There we go, just so we're not clipping it. This actually has a fold, which means another level of distortion. Actually, that ain't bad. However, actually that's really not bad. The issue though is that I don't have a stereo filter. Well, yeah, sure we do. I actually kind of like that. Let me try this though. It's adding a little bit. Is it too bright? Because it's maybe too bright. This shit is explosive. So that's fun. Zoom out a little bit. Something like that. Put some portamento. Too much. Cool, let's tame the highs with the EQ on our mixer. High shelf ought to do it. Yeah, I like that fold. And we'll probably use a high pass on our mixer as well. Not for tone, but just for cleanup. I'll be honest, that sounds a little weaker. Why does that sound so weaker? It might just be mixing though. Also, like, ear fatigue for sure. That's interesting. So what is happening here? So what's happening is, because we have another level of distortion or stage of distortion on the phaser, if we actually have the resonance up too high, it becomes weaker. You can hear that squeak in there. Okay, our level's hot again. Okay. So, very nice. So I'm liking this a lot. I think what's left to do here is to basically tune this, is to find, you know, for all of the expression that we can have on this, because, hey, like, there's a lot of places where we can have expression. There's a lot of places. I would say the two primary ones are the 100 grit filter, the cutoff filter. It's same as before, right? Our low pass. But especially now that we have another stage of distortion after our low pass. First of all, it's just less clean. But second of all, that actually if our cutoff is all the way up, it actually sounds a bit weaker. Because when we bring it down a little bit, the resonance of this filter, which obviously we could cut, but basically the resonance of this filter catches the distortion. And it's really additive in a nice way. But we can still tame it by just bringing the cutoff down. And we've got a nice kind of warm, low thing. Still a little bit chaotic, right? There's still some motion in here. But generally speaking, it's pretty tame. And again, you combine that with the appropriate mix level, it'll be nice. And maybe a little bit of high pass to just, you know, keep it sturdy. Keep it out of the way. So that's really nice. We get a kind of similar thing when we bring the filter down. The 100 grit. However, this is a little different in that we don't really lose the high frequencies because we're still getting distortion. You know, if we go all the way up. I think the gnarliest is around here at around like 2 o'clock, 2:30. But when we bring it down here, it's kind of like the waveform simplifies, is almost what it sounds like. Now again, that's just because of all the distortion we have. It's kind of like a more true low-pass filter when we get rid of a lot of that distortion. That may be actually what we want to do. Because this is pretty hot already. However, I like the messiness that the resonance gives us. And I like pushing that resonance a bit too. It's just very harsh. Okay, I think this FM, I think we can probably do without that. Okay, you know what? So actually, that may clean things up a lot. So let's hear this. Let's hear our loop again. Let's see how well this hides now that we've taken this out. Because that sounds like it hides a lot better than before. Okay, it needs some assistance to really hide. But it's pretty nice. Because what I want to avoid is like tweaking these knobs in a performance. Something where it's kind of more fine-tuned. I'd rather just make a note of like, hey, when you're about to play this song, set these knobs to here and forget them. Okay. I don't know how much I would have messed with this, but the thing is that this can be controlled by CV, as can this. Now let's get rid of the pult. Okay. Still liking the distortion on the Orion, on the phaser. However, let's send a little less gain into that phaser. Are you all the way up? Are both of these just dimed? Okay, we're gonna say they're gonna be at 3. And then we're gonna drop that down a little bit. I don't know. I think I just like it more because it's just in the mix a little better mono. It just means it's too hot. Now the other thing we can do is we could actually do this. We could say, let's take a dry signal. We can combine them. So now the VCA is going both left and right before it goes to the phaser. It's kind of nice. I like the width of it. There's another option here too. And that's what we make the left and right, not hard left and right. Oh my gosh. I think it's just the resonance. It's nice. So much gain. Alright, let's bring it down a little bit. It is line level. Just want to make sure I'm not clipping the mixer. That's nice. Can we get a little more high and then turn our EQ off? Yeah, there you go. I like that. Now, okay, so this is nice. Let's go back to where we have a lot of resonance. Gives it a bite. Does give it some bite. Kinda nice. But with it all the way up, it's pretty clean. Yeah, I think a little bit of resonance is nice. Okay, let's mess with the filter. That's nice. See, that's like a tone thing. Ooh, I like this. So gross. Okay. That's fun. What time is it? Okay, so that's really great. It's playing nice now. It's wide, but it's not too wide. It's kind of out of control, but not too out of control. I like it. Oh, and I guess there's one more peripheral. You can hear that wow wow. That's from the that's the high pass filter on the MS-20 running. That's like the first thing in the chain. Let's hear the low pass. Oh, that's so cool. It just like completely dereses. Oh. What the fuck? That sounds amazing. Okay. All right. Well, let's wire up the low pass filter instead. It's incredible. So mean. I know you can see the waveform up here. Or maybe you can't, actually. I don't know. Yeah, you can't. This is an MS-20. Running through some shit. It's so mean. Okay, so the only thing with that, it might just sound like I'm fooling around. I kind of am, but it's more that I'm trying to get a sense of like what is going on in the range that we have. There's a little bit at the top of the range where we don't really notice the filter moving. Like I'm moving the cutoff right now. We don't hear it. But now we start to hear it. This is at neutral. So this is like where the filter is set. And this is everything under the filter. Great. So gross. Okay, so the high pass filter is also set to a very specific setting here as well. But I like it. All the way up and it's like kind of clean. We bring the low pass filter down a little bit and it gets dirtier. Because again, resonance just going into distortion. Like when our cutoff is all the way up, it's basically out of the range of the distortion. So gross. Okay. So we have 3 filters here. Beautiful. Filters on filters on filters. Sounds awesome, though. This Orion, man, is so good for just taking a sound and just making it stereo. I love it. Okay. There's one more option that we potentially have, and that's actually to run this into the Panharmonium at some point before, the Orion. The idea that we could do with the Panharmonium is that we could resynthesize it and we could control the frequency, and if we wanted like a pitch bend kind of a thing. So basically what we would do, I think we are on the second stage on our VCA. So we could take the VCA signal, run that into the Panharmonium at C. We'll do that down. And then we would run the panharmonium signal into the Orion. And the way that that would work is that we would take that here into F. Yeah. Dime it down. And we would want basically the highest resolution we can have. But we kind of inevitably it's going to be, I mean, there's so much frequency content. But we could do that kind of thing. But we definitely lose like a lot of, we lose a lot of the resolution this way, which, I mean, makes sense. Let's use the crossfading saws. I mean, it's very, very noisy. I mean, just for fun, let's hear it with the track. Delay, because... Okay, what if we took the VCA and ran it into the Orion? Yeah. I think it's just gonna be a little tough to swing. It's kind of cool. I'm not gonna worry about it though. The sounds. VCA into the panharmonium. That's on C. Panharmonium into the Orion. Maybe. It sounds different than what it did before. Yeah, it sounds way different. Well, because I'm thinking we can use the dry wet. I have a different idea for that. Sorry for the spike in volume. I do have a different idea for that though. Panharmonium. Okay, so VCA is indeed going to go into Orion F. Attenuated a bit. Sounds nice. You know what? Hold on. Yeah, okay. It does change it quite a bit, even running through dry. Wait. What is going on? Oh, right. Alright. EQ will help, especially like a graphic EQ. We can bring that up a little bit. Something like that. And then sidechained with the kick of the snare. Or just to the quarter note. little messy. But I think that's kind of I think this is the part to work around. I'm not sure if it's an and, or if it's that, or if it's the E. I think it's the E. I'm a little early on it. A little late that time. The E. Something like that. You have to shed that. But. Yeah, I think that's nice, more or less. Kitty boy. Do you see my cat? Yes, you do. He's a good guy. Okay, nice. Save this. All right, let me take a break from that. Nice, good stuff. Okay, so this is what? I think 16, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. What is, just out of curiosity, what is this one? Oh. Oh. Different configuration. Yep. Great. So this is 20. So this is patch 20 because 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I need to enter that into Ableton so that when I load this project, we set a program change message to load up to 20. Beautiful. Okay, nice. Well, we definitely set out to do. We accomplished what we set out to do. Cool. At this point, I need to take a shower and eat. I gotta go into work here in a second. But I think we're looking pretty good. Oops, I did end up covering over the rate knob. Oh well. Sorry to say. Good things though. So here, we'll pop back over to our Ableton view. Yorp. And Erica program change is going to be 20. Sorry, a little much there. Cool. Program is 20. Nice. And then our XR12 preset is 26. So we'll do that. Okay. We should record now. So let's do this. Where is our keys? Okay. We're just doing that. Ba-dum-bum. Alrighty. Let me track this in real quick. We did not track that. Why did you not track this? Because local is on or off? Wait, this is weird. Why do I not hear? Hold on. I think this is like an out of date project. Unfortunately, why am I not hearing? I'm not getting MIDI input into Ableton. Well, it's because the keys are going into the MS-20 virtual pipe. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I don't know. I'm just gonna draw it in. I need to go and transfer this stuff to the new project anyway. Good news though is that is so there's the super simple version. And that might be fine, you know. Yeah, super simple. gonna call this simple motif. Bring it down a little bit. Then, last thing here. I'm going to print it. To do this, we're going to solo it. Great. That's decay at 8. So we'll say that. Okay, I want to listen to that back. last thing, we're going to say 7. Great. All right, awesome. I got to run. I got to run and teach. I'm going to kind of start my day here. So I got 30 minutes to get ready for that. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. A lot of sound design and again, proof of concept. This is what I consider drafting is just like proof of concept stuff. You know, let me get a sense of what's going to work. Let me put the pieces in place so that I can start to engage with them musically. We have a couple beads on, you know, what this MS-20 sound is going to be functioning as, how it can basically its place in the tune, but then also the way that I can interact with it musically. That would then, what would be next for that would be kind of a programming session where we basically find, you know, after I have my head around, hey, you know what, these are the kinds of dynamics I want to engage with, basically tuning those to peripheral controls, usually foot pedals. But maybe also some like latch functions where we load up a scene and things kind of latch to a certain filter setting. That tends to be pretty lengthy as well because it's a lot of just mapping and programming. But it's also pretty fun as well. So anyway, that would probably be the next big step. I think in the meantime, I'm going to continue to play around with this and just kind of find some things. So for example, like on that last tracking, there was this kind of thing of like, oh, hey, you know what would be cool is if we used that, let me play back for you this part. I don't know if it's super obvious, but that, oh gosh, that warbling, that blah, 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 that kind of thing, that's the rate of the phaser, right? So just kind of understanding, hey, and it's the rate of the phaser, but notably the sound source there is the self-oscillation of the 100 grit. So it's super, super cool, super dynamic, super musical, has a lot of character, just a matter of like, hey, how do we access that? How do we make that happen regularly and musically? The other thing is looking at that. That little sound right there might be super cool with a little bit of reverb or a little bit of delay. We have reverbs on the XR12 mixer as well as delays, but I also have an analog delay as one of my Eurorack modules, so still a little bit of playing around to find. Lastly, there's also a Hydrasynth patch that I'm thinking from my other Hydrasynth that I could use that I could load up. That might be cool going into the Panharmonium. Now I do only have 2 returns on my XR12 for the Eurorack stuff that's already being used in the left and right stereo output from the Orion phaser. So there might need to be a hard patch done, but I'm no stranger to that. Anyway, as you can see, there's a lot of variables, but now we've kind of gone from this, hey, I'm not sure what can go into the song to, oh, hey, I have a lot of ideas, and now it's a process of not necessarily filtering, but just identifying, kind of realizing them, quote unquote purifying them, just getting them focusing things up. And I think we've got some really, really fun things to play with. So on that note, I'm gonna end the stream. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Toying around with the idea of streaming more in general, the biggest barrier to that for me is honestly just the sheer amount of cables, because I do a lot of moving around, and I work with a lot of hardware. And so the thing that I would want to do is basically anytime I move to some new hardware, just be able to very, very quickly and easily change the camera to just focus on the hardware that I'm using, because I know I'm not even in the shot right now. But then also just my microphone as well, figuring out, hey, I might need to work in a headset into my workflow and see if I buy a headset so I don't have to keep moving a mic around and you don't hear that junk all the time. Anyway, fun stuff. Thanks for watching. I will catch y'all later. So